Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's 2023. Just got back from SHOT Show. Had a great time, met a lot of good people. This is going to be a good year for my channel. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I want to answer a long asked question about Strelok. There's a lot of questions, guys, that I feel like have been asked and a lot have not been answered. So what I'm going to do with my cell phone in my hand, the reason why I have it, I'm going to walk you guys through Strelok and how I use it. I'm going to try to make it quick. I'm going to try to make it simple, easy to understand. If you guys have any more questions after the video, click down below. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up another camera and I'm going to have you guys focus on just the phone. I know this is beautiful and I know you guys want to look at me, but we have to concentrate on the task at hand. All right, guys, here we go. First thing we're going to do is get into your phone. Then you want to find your Strelok app. Once you upload it from the app store, there's Strelok with the star. You click it. I unfortunately have a lot of guns already installed, so what I'm going to do is just replace the data. I'm going to make a sample for you guys just to show you how easy it is. All right, guys, so my phone, once you're into the app, my phone starts a little different than you guys probably will. But what we're going to do is we're going to go into, let's say this is one that I already made. What you're going to do is hit change rifle or add rifle. So I want to change. I don't want to duplicate, I want to add. So right here it says add. You hit add. And it says sample replace with your data. For you guys, it's going to be, you're basically going to be making all your own data for your brand new gun. So you hit the icon, you hit OK. Now it takes you into another menu where you can label this whatever you want. So say for here, I want to shoot my Air Force 457, Air Force Texan 457. Not only that, but it's my own 300 grain. We'll say a 300 grain. Now remember, this is just an example, 300 grain. So I know that's my hand cast, and also I can put in there HC for hand cast 300 grain, right? So once you have that, the next thing you do, this is all touch menu. You want to click on your scope height. So where are you going to zero your gun in? Let's say most of you guys want to do a 50-yard zero. You literally just enter the information. It's that simple. Your scope height is going to be center of the scope tube to center of the barrel. It is 3.5 inches because I have a lot of Air Force guns. Go Air Force. The next thing you're going to want to do is you don't have to fill this out just yet, but what is your scope? Is your scope in MOA or is it mil? Mine is in MRAD. Now you go and you choose your scope. It's all alphabetized. So right now, where are we at? Oh, I got to go all the way up to the top. Sorry, guys. You got to watch me do this. This is the menu in the application. It lists every scope. If there is a scope that you do not have, you can actually email the gentleman that designed this app and he will add it the next day, literally the next day. So let's go to A because I shoot Arkin. Arkin optics, Arkin. We're getting there. Aries, Athlon. It has everything. Athlon scopes is all Athlon, which I do have them too. My son has one on his scope. Okay, we're going to go to Athlon. Athlon. God, there's a lot of, okay, here we go. So here is the Arkin scopes. He even has the new scope in here. So let's say I have the Gen 2 first focal plane 6-24 by 50, which I do. But it's MOA. I have the mil. So where's the mil? There it is, mil Gen 2 6-24 SH4. That's the one I have. So I'm going to click this. And there it goes. It puts it here. It puts it here. And see this changed to 1/10 of a mil because it knows what you're using. The app is very smart. That's the way it's programmed. So once you have that, it blanks all this out because those are first focal planes. So it checks it for you. You don't have to select it. It's that simple, guys. You hit OK. That's your scope. It already knows your reticle. Just hit OK. So now you have the gun, 457 shooting 300 grain. The scope, I'm sighted in at 50 yards. I have the distance. The distance, your scope height distance is imperative. You have to enter accurate information for a ballistics program to work. So now we go to this box. You click it. This is basically is designed for powder burners, so you'll keep seeing change cartridge. It's for powder burners, but it works with air guns. Bullet length, you have to measure the bullet length. So say my bullet is 0.950 inches long. The diameter is 0.457. The bullet weight is 300 grains. The ballistic coefficient is something you're going to have to figure out. That's a whole different video. But let's say on that it is we'll say 0.190. That's the BC. Then it's going to come down here and ask you what drag function. You either choose G1 or G7. We all use G1. Most of us do. G1 is the generic version, so use G1. Your bullet speed is, I'm going to erase this because I don't want it reading. I want it reading from the top. The first one. This is important information. So my bullet speed is 950 feet per second. You hit OK. Now as you scroll down, don't worry about this stuff yet because we haven't gotten there. So now that I have all this information input, and here you can still put Air Force Texan 457 is all you have to put right here. So now when you're here and you're finished all that information up here, you don't have to worry about this just yet. You get to OK. It's going to take you to this menu, and the next thing you see underneath it, now if you start reading all this, look at what it says. 950 feet per second, the temperature outside, the ballistic coefficient is 190. The stability factor is 8.7. Anything above 1.5 is stable. Stability has nothing to do with accuracy. Stability, in other words, what I'm saying is the stability just means the bullet will make a perfect spiral. The accuracy is a whole different other department, but you got to have stability to get accuracy second. So stability first, and then accuracy could be tuning, sizing the bullet, the speed, all that other stuff. So this is important, guys. Right here it says twist rate. It's just generic, 1 in 12. This is for powder burners. So we want to put, nope, Air Force uses, we're just going to say whatever it is. We don't care. This is just an example. We're going to say they use a 1 in 20 twist. Twist rate, inches per turn, 20. Right hand twist, that's important. You can go left hand, you can go right hand. If you know what it is in the barrel, you can put which one it is and your twist rate. So now you're done with that. You hit close. Now you're somewhat ready to shoot, but this is your layout. You can change any of this. So now I leave my distance at just a generic number. So 200 means my scope reticle, my clicks or my mil dots are going to go out to 200 yards. If you're going to be shooting further than 200 yards, let's say you want to shoot 400, you just put 400. It's just going to give you more numbers. So wind speed, if you know the wind speed that day, I basically use 10 mile an hour as my standard with a 90-degree direction. You can change that 90, 180, whatever you want. You can put slope angle. But guys, this is for when you get more advanced, but you need the distance that you want the reticles to stretch out to a certain distance. So if you know you don't shoot any further than 100 yards, you just put 100. If a guy like me, I'm going to put in 200 or 400 yards, but you can change it at any time. Okay, so now we have that. Now we have all your information is in there. But if you look at these numbers right here for your turrets, to click your turrets, it still really doesn't know because it knows the BC, but it doesn't know the weather. The weather is very important. Here's the beautiful part. Watch this. Click weather. Every time I go to a different state or a different location, I hit weather. It says use internal barometer. You hit that, you hit calculate, see right now, it's picking up the weather outside and the pressure, the atmospheric pressure and the humidity. So I hit calculate pressure from altitude. And when I put get from internal GPS, you click it because it knows it's going by your location. So it's all going through the satellite system. You hit this. So right now at my home is actually 968 foot above elevation. Yeah, so every time you change location, this number is going to change. It's a smart system because it's going through the GPS on your phone through satellites. So it knows where I'm living because I'm sitting still. Look at that number, does not change. If I were to climb on top of my roof, it would probably say 988 feet. It knows. See the numbers changing? It's all going through satellites right now. See how it changes? So we're going to say that number, we're going to say use this pressure, you're done. So now you hit OK. Now it's going to say calculate. See how all the numbers change now? Because now it's using the satellite to know how high I'm up. It's looking at my bullet speed. It knows how heavy my bullet is. It knows the BC, and it knows how far I want to shoot. It is calculated. So now the last thing you guys do, this is it, guys, the last thing you do. I'm not going to get into all of this because it'll become more confusing, but watch this. It calculated. You saw all these numbers change. So for me to shoot that gun at 400 yards, I'd have to use 22.3 mil radians, or 22.3 mils as we call it. If I have an MOA scope, see, it tells you all of that. It tells you everything. If I have a MOA scope, 76.6 mils equals the same as 22.3 mils. It tells you how many inches, up 321, up 22.3 mils, up 76.6 MOA. Your turret, it tells you how many, I mean, this thing is phenomenal, man. So watch, check this out. Here's, after you get all that headache done, which is actually, it's really easy, guys. You hit reticle, boom. This is what your scope looks like, and I'm going to blow this up so you guys can see it. Look at all those numbers. Look at all those numbers. So every line, it tells you 59 yards, which is really 60. It always does that. And then the next number is, and you can blow this up as big as you want. The next number, the next half a mil is 67 yards. Full mil is 80 yards. From a 60 yard, oh, I put 50 yards. So a 50 yard sight in, the half a mil is 67, a full mil is 80, and it goes down all the way down to the last reticle, or the last marking in my scope. I can shoot out to 263 yards just using this holdover. If I see a coyote at 226, all I do is hold there on the coyote. If you are a turret turner, watch this. If you're a turret turner like I am, actually, let me leave this. Look at this. Look up here. I'm gonna move the phone down. Watch this. I turn turrets. I don't use holdovers anymore because I videotape through my camera. So I want all my shots to be centered. So if I want to shoot that same coyote at 101 yards and he's sitting there chewing on a rabbit or a root, look at this. All I do is do this, swipe through. And let's say he's at 114 yards away. That is 2.7 mils. If I go back to the zero, that same 114 yards is 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. See, 2.5 is 111 yards. He's 114. It's telling you in between the 111 and 120, which is 2.7 mils, is 114 yards. You can use holdover or you swipe. If you're shooting still and you want to shoot center of target, you do the same thing. Now I want to shoot this gun out to 275 yards. How many mil does it take for me to turn the turret up? Let's see. What did I say, 275? Oh, we got a lot. And I'm just doing this to show you guys how adaptable this app is. So 275 is basically 12.8 mils is what it's telling me. 270, yeah, 12.8 mils. So I turn my turret 12.8 mils, or if you still old school and you just want to do holdover, go back to 0, 100 and I forgot the number that I said, 200. You'd be down in here somewhere. I mean, you guys get the point. I just forgot what number I said. 270 something yards or 230 yards or whatever your distance that you're shooting. It'll either tell you on the reticle, or you can just use this to know how many mils to click. I no longer use holdover because, like I say, I videotape through my phone or through my through the scope. So I want all the shots to be center, and I have a lot of MOA. The Arkans have about 32 mil of elevation, which is over 100, I think 100 or 110 MOA in their scopes. So that's a lot of elevation where you can still shoot center crosshair. So guys are asking, like, how do I get the center crosshair things? How do you guys do that? How is every distance dead center? It's really not. What we're doing is we're turning turrets to bring the elevation up to center. So that's a basic lesson on Strelok. This app has a lot of features, and I don't really want to confuse you guys. One of the things I like looking at, though, is if you hit this little calendar kind of looking deal, look at this. It'll tell you at 50 yards, your projectile is traveling 909.2 feet per second. You can add foot-pounds of energy. You can add time of flight. You can add anything you can think of by clicking on this button, and all of this stuff you highlighted. Show bullet speed. Watch this. Show flight time. Show bullet energy. Let's say I don't care about elevation because I already know, and windage I don't care about. Look at all the stuff you can add. So I want to look at bullet speed, time of flight to go that far, and bullet energy. I hit OK. And now look, it changes. At 50 yards, it's going 909 feet per second. Energy of foot-pounds at that distance is 551. It's a calculator. It knows your bullet. It knows your bullet weight. It knows your velocity. So it tells you at 50 yards, you still have 909 feet per second. You have 551 foot-pounds of energy. Let's say you start off with 600 foot-pounds. It's telling you it dropped 50 foot-pounds over 50 yards. Time of flight for that bullet to get there is 0.16 seconds. And this is the fascinating part about it for people that don't believe we shoot what we shoot, and this is how we verify. So if I tell you I'm shooting, let's just say I shot a coyote at 260 yards with a 457. I can tell you that bullet is still traveling 777 feet per second at 260 yards. It still has 403 foot-pounds of energy. So when people tell you an air gun can't kill things, you can believe this just like you can believe your government name. If your mama calls you Leroy, you know you've always been called Leroy. You can believe this as much as you believe your name is Leroy or Bill. You know, I'm being funny, but I'm being serious. So the days of doubting things, it is past us. And look at this, 260 yards. It took that bullet 9/10 of a second, 9/10 of a second, not 9 seconds, 9/10 of a second to travel 260 yards. So for people that say, oh, at that distance, you're just lobbing stuff and coyote or something's going to move because he'll hear the shot. Well, yeah, it's still slower than the speed of sound because the speed of sound is 1135 where I live. A coyote ain't going to hear that and in 9/10 of a second realize, oh, that's someone shooting at me. He's just going to keep looking is what he's going to keep doing, and it'll be that quick that he'll get hit from 260 yards away. So just kind of showing you guys the possibilities of these things are infinite. And just wanted to give you guys a run through. Let's go back. There's so many other things you can do. But like I said, in order for you guys to understand this, me showing you every detail, you're not going to remember any of it. You're not. So I just want to show you guys a basic, generic intro into how to use Strelok, how effective it is. I swear by this app. It works with air guns and powder burners. And I want to touch on one more thing. So let me go back to the reticle. All right, guys. So one of the things I wanted to say is if you go back and you look at the reticle and the scope that I'm using, it's an Arkin Optics scope. Arkin doesn't know anything about air guns. They do now because I'm a dealer for them. And they've been getting a lot of recognition from the air gun world. But I want to say something that's going to make a lot of sense, and I'll keep it short. It doesn't matter if it's a military scope. It doesn't matter if it's a scope from Italy. It doesn't matter if it's a powder burner scope. If it has mil dots or hash marks, trajectory from any gun, anything that shoots a projectile has to match a dot or a hash mark on that scope. So for years, I've been hearing people say, well, that's a powder burner scope. That don't work. That's for 7 mil mags. And you're shooting a BB gun. It doesn't matter, guys. What difference does it make? A projectile has to have trajectory. So each hash mark is going to land on something. That's why you have Strelok that will tell you, okay, you're shooting a lot slower with a lot worse BC. We get it. So enter your information in this and I'll tell you exactly what hash mark or what crosshair is going to hit where. That's the point of the Ballistic app. So the days of people thinking, you know, you have a loophole or night force and people shoot 50 BMGs with those things, it won't work for an air gun. Really? How is that? I want you guys to think about it. How does a projectile that's coming out of an air gun differ from that of a powder burner? They both fly through the air. They both lose velocity. They both have weight. They both spin. You guys get what I'm saying? The projectile has to fall somewhere on a reticle. It's just that we're going to do 50 and then we're going to do, say 62 yards is the next one, whereas a powder burner would shoot 50 and your first little half a mil might be 175 yards because they shoot so fast and flat. But the difference is this thing still has to come up and a projectile has to fall somewhere. And every time it's falling, it's hitting a dot. A powder burner just does this. It does it a lot flatter. We basically shoot like this. We just won't shoot as far as them. But out to a certain distance, your projectile has to land somewhere on a hash mark or a mil dot. But all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Shout out to my boy Eric Mayer over at Varminter Magazine. Thank you for the hat, buddy. It's good seeing you this weekend. I want to say stay tuned for more exciting upcoming videos. You guys have more questions. Please ask the questions. I'll respond. A lot of smart people are going to respond. And if you guys like the video, please share and subscribe, man. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the like button. You know the YouTube mumbo jumbo, guys. Get the hell out of here. Go do something. Peace.